Hello there. I've just come out and about for a bit of peace, quiet and sanity after Prime Minister's question time. What a saga that's become. Well, there you have Prime Minister's question time again. The Wednesday lunchtime traditions of politicians shouting at each other, trying to impress us with their feeble jokes and their feeble put-downs and their feeble arguments. And the two main players in this, the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition, that's Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer, face at each other, scowling and looking at their pre-canned answers, trying to find out which one to use against the question they've just been asked and which joke to use that their team have put together for them. And most of the jokes are not that very funny. I know sometimes it can be a bit entertaining when one comes out with a rip snorter, but rip snorters are very few and far between, and so are clear answers, and so are clear questions. Some of the questions are designed to trip up, not designed to help us, the people, get any better services or anything. Anyway, today it was also mired when one MP stood up to jeering and booing and all sorts of, I don't know, put-downs because he had the temerity to ask a very deep question about the impact of the stay-at-home orders and all those policies a couple of years ago. And now all those excess deaths that keep on coming, which I keep talking about, that the establishment doesn't want to talk about themselves. And that MP was, of course, Andrew Bridgen. And the MPs around him wanted him to go and sit somewhere else and not bother them anymore. They obviously don't like him asking these questions, and the reason for that is they support those policies and they don't want them questioned. They want you and me to unquestionably obey them. So that's not right. I'm not going to be unquestioning in my obedience to them after all the damage they've caused across the House in all the parties. Anyway, this is what Andrew Bridgen said, and this is the reply he got. And listen to the chiding he's getting from all those around him.
DEFRA will be updating the House with further information on that policy in due course.
Andrew Bridgen.
Speaker, last week the Prime Minister stated that he was proud of his furlough scheme. I wonder, Mr. Speaker, if he's equally proud of the 400 billion it put on the national debt and the inflation it's caused. Was he proud of the jobs lost, businesses closed and lives crushed due to the lockdowns? Is he proud of the increased NHS waiting list, premature deaths and the 1 million young people now needing mental health support? And finally, Mr. Speaker, is he proud of the excess deaths affecting every one of our constituencies that nobody wants to talk about? And will he give an undertaking to the British public, a solemn undertaking that they will never be inflicted upon them ever again?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as the honourable gentleman knows, there is a formal inquiry regarding COVID which will examine all the decisions that were made, including lockdown and the impacts of them. But with regard to the furlough scheme, Mr. Speaker, I am proud that at a time of extreme anxiety in the country, facing an unprecedented situation, that this government put its arms around the British public to ensure that we protected 10 million jobs. And as the report from the ONS showed last week, those actions, combined with all the other things we did to support the economy, ensured that we had the fastest recovery through the pandemic of any European nation.
Dr. Neil Hudson.
Anyway, that just shows you the state of play in the House of Commons these days at PMQs. The trouble is that we now, as I keep saying, we've got a uniparty, and they don't want questions. They want to look at each other and use pre-canned questions and pre-canned answers to try and get you to keep voting for the same uniparty blob. And it's got to stop. I just look around me here. It's a beautiful countryside. It's a wonderful day and the birds are singing and people are out enjoying themselves. But then in the House of Commons and the House of Lords and in the rest of the system, we got all these people who are doing their utmost not to do what you want them to do. They're not doing what you want them to do. They have orders coming from somewhere else telling them what they are going to tell you to do. The entire Westminster establishment is fully booked in to the WEF agenda. And by this time next year, I expect to see the UN having complete control over our health policy where health emergencies are concerned. I really don't see a way out of this because we keep voting for the same uniparty blob. And it gets a bit tiresome after a while when everybody thinks, oh, the Tories have failed, so we'll then vote Labour, and when they fail, we'll vote Tory, and when they fail, we'll vote Labour. We just don't seem to have the courage as a society to take a punt on something else that could well be better. Even now, they're all just agreeing with each other on tax, they're agreeing with each other on spending, they're agreeing with each other on borrowing. None of them would do anything different. Maybe they'd do it a bit faster, maybe they'd tax a bit more and borrow a little less, or borrow a little more and tax a little less. But at the same time, all they're doing is wasting our money, wasting our time. And it's got to stop. How long before we've run out of money? Already councils are running out of money because the government can't give them any more and they can't tax us anymore. Where are they going to get this money from to repay all these debts? I doubt there's enough in the country now. And that's the problem. We're all living beyond our means, and politically speaking. Politicians sign cheques with their mouths that no one can ever cash. It's just totally and utterly wrong. And it's about time we had a fresh start, and that's what we need, a fresh start, but not with Starmer's Labour or Rishi's ruddy consocialist, whatever you want to call them, or any other party that's incumbent in the House at the moment. They're all charlatans, the lot of them, bar one or two good people. But I despair. The next general election is going to bring doom on us, absolute doom. And you have to consider it yourself and ask the question, has this been designed all the way through? Is this the plan? And I'm afraid to say that I think it must be. There can be no other answer. We are an island surrounded by fish and sat on hundreds of years of fuel that could keep us well fed and well heated for the next however many years. But we're not using them. We're not allowed to utilize them. And that is criminal. We have a criminal overclass. And it's about time we stood up to them and got rid of them, including all those hangers-on called civil serpents. Well, sorry for a bit of a downer, but I do get really fed up with it all. I expect the rest of you do too. And it's about time we stood up for ourselves and stopped pandering to all their self-conceited, horrible ways. It's all about them, and they'll be sitting pretty anyway, won't they? They'll have a great time, swanning around the world, saying to everybody, look how I've cowed the British people into doing nothing, not eating meat, not heating their homes, not using energy, not driving, sitting in little cold 15-minute neighbourhoods. Isn't that wonderful? How clever I am. I'm saving the planet, and I've got to go to all these other places to tell them how to do it as well. So I've got to keep travelling around, got to go to the Bahamas, Bermuda to see how they're doing it. You know the trick. They're all at it. While most people can't afford to get away for one holiday a year, let alone half a dozen trips around the world to all these conferences in plush hotels. Anyway, I'm going to go back and crack open a bottle of wine and have a nice glass of red. I think I deserve it after going out into the countryside to enjoy it. So, hope you're having a good time. Go and have a good evening and forget what I just said.